What's up, guys? Steve here. We're playing A Link to the Past Randomized. I'm here with my wife Sandra.
Hello.
And this is a fun remix of A Link to the Past, their game from 1992, originally on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. You'll notice that all the dialogue is in Japanese. That's because the developers of A Link to the Past Randomized decided that Japanese is faster and has less dialogue overall, so it's just faster for like speed players and stuff. So the concept is that the treasures in the world have been randomized in what treasure chests and what people are going to hand them out. So they're all different from where they normally are. Keys in dungeons are the same as where they normally would be for the most part, but your major treasures, like you saw inside of Link's house, there was no lantern. There normally is. Instead, you got 300 rupees.
So tell me about what the goal for Link is right now in the game.
Beat the villain, save the princess. Standard fantasy, kind of fair. In the very beginning, in the normal game, Link gets woken up from a telepathic message from Zelda saying, "Come save me, I'm in the dungeon, I've been captured by the wizard." Your uncle goes out, grabs his sword and shield, and says, I'll be back, you stay inside. And then you find him here, and he says, "I've been attacked or killed or whatever," and he gives you the sword and shield and tells you about the secret method for doing the circle attack, the spin attack. So now we're heading into the dungeons. I guess we're in the secret passage into the castle now, and we're going into the castle to try and find Princess Zelda.
So all of the guards are basically enemies at this point, right?
Yeah, kind of. So those guys with the short swords are not technically bad guys. The ones that run after you have been ensorcelled by the medium, the kind of first world boss in the game. I'm never sure how to say his name. I think it's Ganon. He has ensorcelled all of the castle guards to attack you and be evil guys. But the guys with short swords, I don't think I think they're just standard, castle guards, if I remember the storyline correctly.
And how many times have you played this game? Not this version, but this game.
A Link to the Past, I've probably played, I don't know, 100 times, maybe more. It's hard to put a number on it. Okay, so I don't remember what we normally pick up there. I think it's 20 rupees, but instead we got 3 bombs. You're not supposed to get the bombs until after you beat, after you get Zelda out of the dungeons and into the sanctuary. So that'll open up a few opportunities that we normally wouldn't have until a little bit later in the game. So that's pretty cool.
So every time you play, because I know you've played this version before, did you get bombs in that chest every time, or is it randomized every time?
No, you can create a random, a different randomization every time if you wanted. You can use different seed numbers to have the stuff in different places. It's kind of like Minecraft. When you create a world, you put in like the numbers and letters, and that generates a new world.
Okay.
And it's kind of randomized based on the numbers and letters. Same kind of concept here with the treasures. Okay. Just picked up the shovel. We normally don't get that until we're able to visit the Dark World, which is the second half of the game. And that lets us get the flute.
You have to dig up the flute?
Yep.
Do you have an opportunity to dig up other stuff, or just be carrying around a shovel till we get there?
There's not really any like game requirement to dig anything else up. You can find other loot, heart pieces, coins, that kind of stuff. So this guy normally takes like 10 or 12 hits with your sword to kill. I've actually found it's a heck of a lot easier to kill him just by using 2 pots to throw at him. And he just goes down real quick, saves you hassle of trying to kill him. Alright, so between that treasure chest and the first one in your house, you're supposed to get the lantern. Another cool feature about Randomized is that the developers made it so that you can go into the sewers without the lantern. Otherwise, it'd just be pitch black, and the game would be really, really hard to play.
And so now, where are you taking Zelda?
So now we're heading out, up out of the dungeon, back into the castle, and then we'll head through the sewers to the sanctuary.
And Link is always a one-player game, right?
A Legend of Zelda is always a one-player game, yes.
That's what I call it. It's Steve's very favorite game, and so if he's going to play video games or is feeling nostalgic, it's always going to be he's going to play some Link. So that's just our little shorthand for it, I guess. So can you use the shovel as a weapon then, too?
No. Supposedly you can use it in the mid-boss fight to deflect stuff back, but I've never been able to successfully do it. It might be the bug net that you do it with, too. I might have that mixed up in my head.
So if you just walked past those guys, would they attacked you?
The second guy would have. The first one and the last one would not have. They are docile. But the ones with the longer swords, like that blue guy just then, they will attack you if they sense you.
It's quite a maze. It's just something you have memorized?
Yep.
Just as simple as that.
Yeah, I've played it enough times to kind of know where pretty much everything is. I think there's a couple chests or heart pieces in the overworld that I just can't remember where they are. I can never remember where they are, and I never go and get them, so I never have all 20 heart pieces.
They make websites for that, I'm just saying.
I know it. I'm going to do my best to avoid using cheat sun on this version. Alright, these guys are called ropes in the game. I don't know why they decided to call them ropes instead of snakes, but they're ropes. Especially when you only have 3 hearts, they're kind of pains in the necks.
What's that?
That is called a keese. It's a bat.
Are all the wild animals enemies?
Yes. There's a few that are basically just background images later in the game, but for the most part, yeah, they're enemies. They can hurt you.
So you're like in the sewer now?
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the sewer underneath the castle, and oddly enough, it leads out into the sanctuary.
So what is it about Link and Zelda and these games that you find so compelling that it makes you want to play them over and over?
You know, the storytelling is pretty good, and they're fun. It's fun gameplay, fun puzzles. I mean, I've got the puzzles memorized now. A little bit of it is nostalgia. Like I said, it's the first game I've ever played on the Super Nintendo. I can remember my uncle renting it back in like 1991 or whatever, and playing it and just being so enthralled by it. And I mean, the games are just fun. I really enjoy them. It's a very fantasy world, you know, elves and dragons and that kind of stuff, and it's a very fun franchise to return to. Okay, so we just picked up the Titan's Mitt. That's the second level power-up for lifting objects. That's the map for this area. So that shows us where everything is. And anyway, the Titan's Mitt will let me access some of the Dark World areas and treasures much earlier. It's a very late game treasure that you normally wait until like the 5th dungeon in the second half of the game to get.
And so it does make a difference with how the game is played, a significant difference, which treasures or things you get in what order, correct?
Yeah, oh absolutely. So, you know, unless we get the bow and arrow, we won't really be completing the first dungeon until we get it. It's just it's a requirement of the dungeon. There's a couple dungeons like that you just have to have certain items to finish it. But getting other items like Titan's Mitt and the shovel mean that we can get access to other areas that we'd have to wait until the very end to get to. And we're at the sanctuary. Well, once we get through this dialogue, I think we'll call it an episode. This has been A Link to the Past Randomized, Episode 1. I'm Steve.
And this is Sandra. Thanks for watching.